Hey guys, it's Red, and today I'm going to spill the tea on a story that I've never really told before online. I have told this story at the intensive that I was at this past weekend. I taught a workshop about dominant energy and how to embody that in dance, and it totally reminded me of this story, and I was like, I have to share this on YouTube with my YouTube community. I feel like you guys are gonna love it. So let's get into this story. I feel like as a stripper, people always ask me, what are the craziest stories or what's the craziest thing that's ever happened to you? And I feel like this is definitely one of those stories. I have been a stripper for, since pretty much December 2017. And I had been dancing for approximately 3 years, I think. At this point, I was working at a club here in Portland, Oregon, and it's a pretty big club. It used to get a lot of tourists and a lot of businessmen that were coming through on business. So, yeah, I would have a lot of interesting encounters. I feel like when you work at a downtown club, you're just used to all types of things happening. That day, I was just at work. I think I was still 20 or 21. I might have been on the under 21 stages when I was first approached by a gentleman that was approximately in his 60s, I would have guessed. And then he was accompanied by two beautiful women in, I would estimate, probably their 40s, but they looked incredible. They were all dressed to the nines. He was wearing a suit. They were wearing these sexy dresses, and they came up to me and started tipping me and immediately were being super kind and just asking me about myself. And I could tell that they were interested in your girl, okay? I am working the conversation, just trying to get to know them a little bit better. So I asked them where they were from and what they were doing in the club that night. And they responded that he was from so-and-so and they were from a different city, but every couple months they all book flights to Portland and spend the weekend together. And I was like, all right, I smell some kinky shit going on. I smell something going on. So I was like, that's so cool. It's so nice to meet you all. And I remember that they had suggested, before I even had to bring it up, so pretty quickly they had suggested going to a champagne room, and I was like, let's do it. I'm ready. So we go to pay for the room, and he pulls out cash and starts to count out the cash. The two ladies are talking to me, just getting to know me a little bit better without sugarcoating it. I can just tell when I'm talking to another sex worker. So after he's done paying, we go to the champagne room. We go inside, we get comfortable, and the VIP host leaves. She says, have a good time. And there we are for an hour, left me alone as a dancer, left with these three clients. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little nervous. I'm still new to stripping, like 2-3 years in, and I don't really know what to expect. And I feel like the two women could tell that I was just looking for some kind of approval or direction of where should I start? What are you guys wanting to do? So very quickly they take the reins and they look over at our dermatologist. I don't know if I told you this yet, but he was like a dermatologist doctor, and that's what I had basically all I knew about him, really, besides that he was loaded and a dermatologist. So they look over at him and they tell him to unbutton his shirt. And he starts unbuttoning his shirt, and he's wearing women's lingerie underneath his suit. And I'm like, okay. I only really heard about doms and female domination, financial domination. I had only really heard of it in TV shows or online. I'd never really done any type of dom work before. So that to me, was a signifier, that's what's going on. And I was like, oh shit. So they start to explain to me that he is their submissive and that he does whatever they say. and that he enjoys to be beaten up and inflicted harm upon by beautiful women. They had explained to me that they had met many years ago. There was a head honcho gal, like one of them I could tell was like the one that ran the shots, and she said that she had met him many years ago, and they meet every single year ever since for these domination sessions, and she invites different dom friends to come with her, and this is what they do. Like once a year he goes crazy, and I could tell that they were intoxicated. I could tell like he was definitely having a blast, possibly on some like Molly or some drugs, and they start telling me to mess with him. Basically, they're telling me to take my heel, like my tall pleaser heel, and they want me to like kick him in the balls, like kick him in the crotch as hard as I fucking can. And when I was like, what? Are you serious? Because I'm not like really a violent person. Like I really try to avoid that at all costs. But then they were like, no, he wants it. And they demonstrate for me. And they're like, wah! Hard as hell against his balls. And I was like, oh my God. But he seemed to love it. He was eating it up. And they were like, look how hard his is. And I was like, so you bet your fucking ass I got some kicks in. I definitely got some kicks in, and I was like, hard. And they were like, harder, harder. All right, this is not the end of the story yet. Next, and these gals, they had a bag full of goodies. I didn't get to see all the goodies they had in the bag because you'd be surprised. An hour in the VIP room can go by fast. But they did take out a staple gun and showed me how much he loved getting stapled. And they started to staple with a medical stapler. Like, I'm sure he brought that medical stapler from his literal dermatology office. I'm sure of it. And they hand it to me, and they tell me to continue stapling his lingerie to his body. Oh my gosh. That was so crazy. And if you've never stapled skin before, just imagine seeing a thick staple going through skin and clamping it together, and this old man just smiling up at you like, oh my God, craziest thing ever. But you know what? It was a huge realization to me that I'm not kink shaming here. Like, I'm not here to kink shame. It's just such a different experience to me. It was something I never knew really existed or happened. But now that I'm deeper in the sex work world, I do know a lot more about the different types of sex work and the different types of kinks and fetishes that people have. Exploring the idea of trust and consent, it definitely sparked my curiosity to be a part of this experience. And I feel like he really enjoyed, along with the two dom babes, watching me as someone who was inexperienced in this department be able to enact these fantasies on someone. It is one of those stories that I feel like sex workers all have. Like, everyone has like some crazy story of like a guy who puts their entire foot in his mouth or pays $1,000 for you to spit on him or whatever it is. But this experience with the stapler, y'all, I was so worried I was gonna get fired. Like, I was like, if they see me in the mirror right now stapling this man's chest, stapling this man's lingerie to his body, I thought I was gonna get fired. I was like, there's no way I'm gonna catch a charge tonight. Like, this is crazy. And I feel like that was just the most shocking thing. Like, something that we just don't see in the street often is female domination and men submitting to women's control. And it was a very exhilarating experience for me too, as a S worker who most of my experience has been pleasing heterosexual men in a very like cis way, like lap dances and like stuff that the male gaze is looking for in like mainstream media, etc., etc. Very hetero, binary versions of sexy. And I feel like as a sex worker, one of the most interesting parts of the job is the psychology behind our clients. And especially when they have interesting fetishes or kinks that you feel comfortable enacting with them. So yeah, I want you all to drop your funny stories. If you have a story about a time that you dommed someone, maybe if you're a dom, like tell the story in the comments of your first time you ever dommed someone. I feel like it's such a crazy experience. You feel like kind of nervous to hurt someone, even though it's something that they are literally asking for and that we are both consenting to. I feel like, especially as women, like figuring out how to step into that dominant energy is something that I'm very curious about and I would love to learn more about and explore more. And I do have a little bit of experience of performing such services through strip club. A couple of customers who have wanted me to like dominate them or enact like control over them, whether it was psychologically, because it doesn't always have to be through violence, okay? I just want to clarify that. Like, it doesn't always have to be through violence, but I have had, several different experiences at the strip club, but also I've had a lot of experiences in this, like through online sex work. Ever since that, I've done some stuff on OnlyFans and Sex Panther, and I feel like the reason why a lot of the fetishes and kinks come out in online sex work is because it is like anonymous kind of for the client, so they can enact like their wildest fantasies that they're too scared to tell anyone else about with online sex workers. So I feel like that initial experience at the strip club definitely just kind of like exposed me to that world in a very like real in-person way, and I love that story. I hope that they're all doing well and still having lots of fun every year here in Portland. I did see them one more time where they invited me to a hotel room and were doing their thing on him, and I was just watching, like literally like a cook, but I was paid to just kind of be there and watch. And I think, yeah, it was fun for them to have like fresh eyes, just watch and perceive what they were doing. I guess it added to the allure and the vibe, and I was just there sipping my Veuve Clicquot and eating peaches. I remember, and he's just there like in lingerie, handcuffed, hitting whippets. All right, hitting whippets after whippets, or they're literally feeding him the whippets because he's like chained down, and he's just so high, getting beat up, and they're doing all types of stuff to him that is just like too crazy for me to really see online. And after about 2 hours, I told them I wanted to leave, like that I had had enough pretty much, and I never saw them again. I received the payment and I never saw them again. I always prioritize like my safety and wellness. I would never really do that. It is really one of like the only times I've ever seen customers outside of the club, and it was just because I had had that like deep trust with these people that I knew what was going on, that they did a lot to make sure that I felt safe and that I was comfortable meeting them for that like special experience, and I was definitely paid well. Drop your craziest stories in the comments. I can't wait to hear them, and I will see you guys in another video. If you want to watch more stripper vlogs, check out my channel. If you want to learn how to pole dance or you want to do yoga, I have a playlist here on this channel for movement and pole, and I also have an app called Red Light Therapy with 2 Ds, where we do live virtual classes. We have options like every single day, guest workshops, and so much good stuff for your hot girl wellness. All right, I will see you next time. Love you all.